Princess Shirin traveled here alone, Farhad tried to reassure himself. Harm will not befall her. The choice was a difficult one, but Farhad could not abandon his friend. After all, both he and Shirin owed Anahita their lives, and while a broken heart may ache for years, death happens but once. Perhaps Anahita's last temple would suggest her whereabouts. Khosrow's letter was condescending, haughty, oppressive. Shirin would no doubt be safe with the king, but at what cost? Farhad's fingers brushed Allseed's heart. So that is how you came to be my friend, he muttered. Farhad had failed to ring the giant bell in the battle against Bistun. If I had been able, he thought, perhaps Anahita would still be here. As Farhad stared at the smooth gray stone of Shirin's statue, her foot, her skin was turning to stone. Of course, Khosrow's letter had alluded to something else. An agreement between Farhad and the king. Why does he want passage through Mount Bistun? Farhad wondered. And what wish does he speak of? Could it be Shirin? The thought angered Farhad. The princess was not a prize to be awarded. Farhad feared the worst. The Div was mighty and terrifying. And if Anahita had overcome it, why hadn't she returned? Not the solution to Farhad's problems. Bistun caused the blight. And when night falls, I could return for this, Farhad thought. Back in her castle now. Farhad tried to convince himself. All this will be behind her. Fear battled within Farhad, but resolve overcame both. This time, he knew what had to. Farhad realized that now that the stairs were clear, the path was back open. Every realm? Farhad thought. If there are more, are there other Div? So I'm not the only one to have entered the Revelations realm, Farhad thought with gladness. Visit a strange place often enough, and it soon loses its mystique. But this was the memory stored within all Seed's heart. A story Farhad needed to know. What is this for? Farhad. Stone shattered, molten iron flowed, hot and angry. Farhad scoured his memories for all Seed's last words. To kill a mountain, build something new. The mountain was clear, but build what? Why would all Seeds have a memory of a smithy? Farhad thought. After all, fire and trees do not usually well mix. The sledgehammer was huge and heavy, but Farhad carried it with ease. As he rounded the corner in the floating path, a gasp escaped Farhad's lips. Shattered remnants of his friend hung suspended in the air, unmoving, cold, lifeless. Do not ask for whom the bell tolls, Dave, Farhad shouted into the darkness. It tolls for thee! The bell's mighty peal rent the air, sending Bistun crashing to the floor. This is for my friends, Farhad cried. Mighty blow, the Deve's crimson eye winked out. The storm within Farhad's heart rivaled the one that rent the dark skies. Bistun was defeated, but at such cost. He felt more alone than he had ever felt before. For the first time since he awoke on Mount Bistun, his path was clear, but he had no one to share the news with. Princess Shirin would be resting in Khosrow's quarters. Farhad, what have you done? What vile sickness did you expose my love to? You have no reason to dig through the mountain any longer. Princess Shirin is dead. Your king, Khosrow. and Farhad. He felt that this world could no longer offer him anything. But death had not ended Farhad's journey before, and it was not about to now. Instead, Farhad drew ever closer to answers. The final steps on the path laid out before him. The path that ended in the realm of forgotten memories. The fortress of oblivion awaited him. And Farhad thought of all those who had played their part in getting him here. All seeds, with his wisdom and kind heart. Majestic Anahita, so dedicated to atoning for her greatest mistake. The beautiful princess, always out of reach. And the king, who had treated him with such disdain. But none of them mattered anymore. The whisper called to him. I called to him. Fear and foreboding chilled Farhad as he walked amongst the horrors. Exiled and forgotten people, ensnared by the blight, trapped in endless suffering, their silent screams frozen in their gullets. Decades. For how long I had called him to me, I cannot say. My voice gave out. But still, I cried out across the realms. Unimaginable agonies racked my body. Yet I never sought refuge in insanity. The wound that never heals reminded me of my mortality and my purpose. I looked into Farhad's eyes and saw his pain and confusion. But even then, I saw a flicker of something else. Was it relief? Words eluded him, however. So I explained everything. I told him my name is Nizami. I was a blacksmith by day and a storyteller by night. I was banished by King Khosrow, exiled unjustly. On Mount Bistun, I was mortally wounded, but saved by the most wondrous fruit and guided by a talking tree. Then, I discovered an otherworldly domain, a realm of forgotten souls. But the Div found me. I was imprisoned in the fortress of oblivion, doomed to be forgotten, teetering on the edge of oblivion. Agony poured from my wound and took form. You, Farhad, are created out of my pain, out of my wound. I told him, you are the manifestation of hope, the embodiment of purpose. I had lost count of the number of times Farhad had reached my prison, but each time he had refused my plea, refused to set me free. I knew the choice was grim, but I had to prevail. My story is not yet complete, and so I gave him a choice. Liberate me, or abandon me once more. The path to the left was where he should engrave the wise decision to set me free, or he could add to the cruel records of abandonment to the right. You lie, Farhad said, his hands trembling. But I knew he did not believe his own words. It is just human nature to question that which explains all. Farhad seized his head and yelled, "Tell me the truth!" "Calm yourself, Farhad," I said in a soothing tone. "Do not let anger confuse your thoughts. We are one," I repeated. "I feel every pain that you do. But the difference," I told him, "is that my pain never dwindles. The moments of serenity as dusk falls, the sense of triumph when a fearsome foe has been vanquished. You experience these things and more," I said. "I have only pain. And when you faltered, and my agony was too much to bear, you were reborn from my wound, with my words." Farhad recalled his visions of leaving the fortress alone. "Look at me, Farhad," I implored. "You do not realize how special you are. You are a part of me, but more than I could ever be." I knew his uncertainty, but I explained that, unlike me, he has a choice: to free me or make the mistake of abandoning me again, to embrace the rare gift that I have offered, meaningful purpose, or shun it. This time, I resorted to honesty to convince Farhad to release me. If he rescued this poor old man, his creator, from a life of torture, I promised to continue my journey. I would seek out the source of the blight afflicting nature, the reason behind the chaos that sweeps through Persia, and destroy it. But sadly, there was a catch. To leave my unnatural shackles empty would draw unwanted attention. Farhad would have to take my place. At this, the sculptor growled and turned his head. "Wait," I implored. "You do not understand." I told him how this sacrifice would give his life meaning. After all, it was his purpose. It was what he was created for. The only way he could escape the cycle. and I promised that when my quest was complete, I would come back to return the favor. You have made the right decision, I told him. Before I left, Farhad asked me if his sacrifice would be worth it. There is no greater blessing than having purpose, I told him. No worse pain than having it denied. I promised I would not rest until I had stopped the sickness afflicting nature. I would rescue other poor, imprisoned souls and face the threats before me with the courage that Farhad had shown. Come avant, I called. Let your fires light my way.
بیاورد ضحاک را چون نبند، به کوه دماوند کردش ببند. به کوه اندرون تنگ جایش گزید، نگه کرد قاریبانش ناپدید. بیاورد مسمارهای گران، به جایی که مغزش نبودن در آن. فرو بست دستش بر آن کوه باز، بدان تا بماند به سختی دراز. ببستش بر آن گونه آویخته، از او خون دل بر زمین ریخته. از او نام ضحاک چون خاک شد، جهان از بد او همه پاک شد.
Uncertainty was written on his face. So I warned him against abandoning me again. You only prolong the bitter cycle, I told him. You will lose your memories once more. Your destiny is not one of futility and confusion. And I told him that I would keep calling him, and he would come. Is that what you want? I asked. To go through all the heartache you have endured yet again? But I could not force him to see reason. If he would leave me again, I promised to send him away from this place. I would show him how to use the memory stone within his head to leave the fortress of oblivion. But what would he be escaping for? Endless wandering? Repetition without purpose? I groaned, but I knew this was not the end. I will see you again soon. Once again, Farhad refused his destiny and condemned me to further torment. How many times he has failed me, I cannot say. Perhaps neither of us will ever be free. Perhaps the blight will spread unchecked. But my purpose still burns as fiercely as the agony in my chest. And Farhad's story has not yet ended. It cannot end yet. A wave of nausea washed over Farhad. He stumbled. Darkness closed in. He staggered on. Before oblivion drew in again. He lost consciousness again and again. Panic streaked through his muddled mind. And then he remembered my warning, the bitter cycle. With every step, his memory slipped away. I must engrave Nizami, he thought. I must not forget. Farhad sought to immortalize my story in stone, lest he forget again. And against all odds, he did it. He looked back at all the engravings he had made and found hope in them. Hope that he could walk a different path. Slowly, like the morning sun clambering over the horizon, consciousness came. He opened his eyes. How pleasant, he thought, to wake to nature's song. As he navigated the narrow paths, he breathed in the fresh mountain air. It focused his mind. Questions bobbed to the surface, like apples in water. The same questions that he had struggled to answer at the start of the last cycle. But of course, Farhad knew nothing of that. He did not even know his own name. If you recall, I promised there was more to his tale. He sought a way off the mountain, and some buried memory drew him to the tunnel he had excavated. The story began anew.
بگفتا دل ز مهرش کی کنی پاک، بگفتا آنگه که باشم خفته در خاک، بگفتا جان مده بس دل که با اوست، بگفتا دشمنند این هر دو بی دوست، بگفتا گر خرامی در سرایش، بگفت اندازم این سر زیر پایش، بگفتو آن من شد زو مکن یاد، بگفت این کی کند بیچاره فرهاد. چو عاجز گشت خسرو در جوابش، نیامد بیش پرسیدن ثوابش. به یاران گفت کز خاکی و آبی، ندیدم کس بدین حاضر جوابی. به زر دیدم که با او بر نیایم، چو زرش نیز بر سنگ آزمایم. که ما را هست کوهی بر گذرگاه، که مشکل میتوان کردن بدو راه. میان کوه راهی کرد باید، چنان کامد شد ما را بشاید. به کوهی کرد خسرو رهنمونش، که خواند هر کس اکنون بی ستونش.